I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what is going on this week in the news. We begin with news from around the world. Last week, Belgium's lower house in parliament passed legislation which permits the doctor-assisted killing of terminally ill children facing unbearable physical suffering. The legislation had passed the Senate late last year and must now go to the King for approval. In a statement, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Belgium said that they totally uphold the rights of the child, of which love and respect are the most important, but the bishops said the right of the child to demand its own death is a step too far. The bishops went on to say in the statement that they feared this new law opens the door wide to the further extension of euthanasia to handicapped persons, people with dementia, the mentally ill, and those merely tired of life. The statement said that they insist that everything be done to combat pain and suffering and that those caring for the sick be given optimal support. The law would require children to be conscious of their decision after repeated requests to die and to have approval from their parents and medical team. The church's news agency said several members of parliament had highlighted contradictions in the bill's wording, including its provision that children as young as 3 could be allowed to die if capable of discernment, whereas a 17-year-old could be refused if psychiatrists disagreed. Euthanasia was legalized in Belgium in 2002. In news now from the Vatican, this past weekend, Pope Francis, as Bishop of Rome, visited a parish celebrating its 50th anniversary. Rome Reports has more on the visit.
Rome's San Tommaso parish turns 50, and as part of the celebration, Pope Francis, as the Bishop of Rome, celebrated Mass there. As he arrived and made his way through the streets, he was surrounded by people and also camera flashes. In his homily, he explained that looking at one's heart, from feelings to intentions, should be done more often than not.
Dobbiamo domandarci cosa c'è dentro, perché questo che dentro viene fuori e fa il male, se è malo, e se è buono viene fuori e fa il bene. È tanto bello dirci la verità a noi stessi e vergognarci quando noi ci troviamo in una situazione che non è come Dio la vuole, non è buona. Il mio cuore è in una situazione di odio, di vendetta, ma tante situazioni peccaminose. Come è il mio cuore?
The first step, he said, is not fooling yourself. One must learn to recognize if one's heart is full of love or hate. And part of that comes with asking God for the grace to differentiate one from the other. He then added that evil actions have real consequences.
Tante volte, quando sentiamo parlare persone, parlare male di altri, sembra che il peccato di calunnia, il peccato della diffamazione sono stati tolti dal decalogo. E parlare male di una persona è peccato. E perché parlo male di una persona? Perché ho nel mio cuore odio, antipatia, non amore.
In news now from around the country, Judge Renda Wright Allen of the U.S. District Court in Norfolk, Virginia, ruled late last week that Virginia's ban on same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. Judge Wright Allen issued her decision in a lawsuit brought on behalf of 2 Virginia couples. One couple was denied a marriage license. The other couple were married in California and want Virginia to recognize their marriage. The judge ruled the Virginia Constitution's same-sex marriage ban violated the U.S. Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. In a statement released by the Virginia Catholic Conference, Bishop Francis DiLorenzo of Richmond and Bishop Paul Laverty of Arlington said that not only did her decision ignore the state's rights under the 10th Amendment, but it also contradicts the wisdom and understanding of the ages, stripping marriage of its intrinsic meaning and converting it into nothing more than an arrangement that recognizes a voluntary relationship between any 2 consenting adults. And finally in the news, with the recent celebration of St. Valentine's Day, the focus for many people were on cards, chocolates, and flowers, but not too many people focus on the actual saint himself. For instance, most people don't know that St. Valentine gave his life for the sacrament of marriage, or that part of his body resides in a church in Dublin, Ireland. Susan Gately of Catholic News Service has more on this saint behind the holiday of love.
St. Valentine was a Roman priest who was martyred in Rome in the year 269 AD. So a long time ago, but was very much associated with married couples. During the Emperor Claudius's reign as Emperor of Rome, he wished to extend his empire, and he believed that in order to do that, all his young men should be available to fight, and so he didn't want them to get married. Their strength was to be kept purely for the battlefield, and of course this presented a huge problem for the Christian church. For Valentine, it was most important that with the new Christian religion, that sexuality was kept within the sacrament of marriage. So he literally gave his life in order to achieve this purpose.
The saint's reliquary lies in a side altar of the Carmelite Church at Whitefriars Street.
Valentine, as I said, already died in 269. The relics came to Ireland in 1836, which is a long time later. And basically they were a gift from Pope Gregory to a Father John Spratt, who was a Carmelite priest based here in Dublin, but who in fact preached a mission over in Rome, and the Pope was so impressed by him that he gave him this most unusual gift.
On St. Valentine's Day, many couples renew their marriage vows and have their rings blessed here. But in fact, right through the year, the shrine is a place of pilgrimage.
Another of our petitions to St. Valentine this evening. St. Valentine, help John to communicate. So people travel to us from literally the four corners of the world to come and to see the reliquary and to pray here, and very often to write messages into the book that's on the altar and to pray for their various intentions, usually to do with relationships. There was this wonderful sight of a very young couple, and both the boy and the girl were standing there, tears streaming down their cheeks. But it looked as though he was after proposing to her. It looked as though she had accepted. And it looked as though the two of them were totally overcome with emotion, and Valentine looking down very benignly upon them. Well, I think Valentine speaks hugely about the importance of commitment. That love is not something that one has today and that one discards tomorrow, but that couples come to St. Valentine hoping that his blessing will ensure that they stay together. Commitment, endurance, constancy, and above all, belief in the sacrament of matrimony.
And that is all the information we have for you at this time. I'm Kevin Elsie. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.